Thank you, Madam Speaker. Last week, we celebrated or commemorated the D Day landings here in the chamber, and I was going to speak that day, but the session ran a little bit long. You know, sometimes we forget that the longest day actually was the longest week. It took more than 7 days for the forces that landed on the beaches, that came in by glider, that parachuted in to consolidate. And so in that context, I thought I'd share my brief story with you today. It was a few years ago. I was doing a job in Europe, and we had a day free, and a friend of mine invited me home to his house for lunch on the outskirts of Brussels. He was in a comfortable suburb there. We had a lovely meal with his family, and at the end of the meal, he said, there's a World War I American cemetery just up the road. So we took a walk up the street. I was curious, and we walked through this quiet suburb with freshly mowed lawns and people washing cars and swing sets in the yard, and we turned the corner, and there, waving quietly in the light breeze, was an American flag. And over the gate of this small cemetery were the words, Flanders Field. It took a moment for the recognition to sink in. Flanders Field, where the poppies grow between the crosses, row on row. Neatly trimmed hedges, bright, colorful flowers, perfectly mowed lawns, and row after row of crosses, interspersed occasionally with a star. And I walked through that garden of stones for quite some time before I returned to the house. And when I got back to the house, the girls there were doing their homework, and one of them turned to me in her schoolgirl English, and she said, "I'm doing a report on America. Could you tell me what America is about?" That's a heady responsibility to try and describe America. But I thought for a moment, I said, you should go back to that cemetery and you should look at the names on those stones. And there are names like Edwards and Browns and Adams, but there's also names like O'Keefe and O'Rourke, Warshawski, Rabinowitz, even Chen. I said, those names, they sound like they're Irish, like they're Polish, like they're Scandinavian, like they're Jewish, like they're even Chinese. And that tells you something very important about America. But there's something more important. And that is that these young men, not much older than you, they came here to Europe to serve, to fight, and to die so that you could be free. And there's so many things to understand about America, but if you understand that one thing, then you understand enough. Thank you, Madam Speaker.